The lights are low. The room feels heavy with memories, pressure, and years of untold tension. This isn't the glossy BTS story everyone already knows. This is the version whispered in hallways, hinted at in interviews, and felt behind closed doors. When Bang Si-hyuk finally opens up, not with anger, but with honesty, one question shakes everything. What does it really mean to manage 7 geniuses who are never meant to be controlled? People assume difficulty comes from ego, rebellion, or fame. But the truth is far more complicated, far more human. Some were hard to manage because they questioned everything. Some because they felt too deeply. Some because they carried too much responsibility too early. And some because their fire burned brighter than any rulebook could contain. This ranking isn't about who caused trouble or who broke rules. It's about emotional weight, leadership tension, creative friction, and the moments when even Bang Si-hyuk himself had to pause and rethink his own role. Who challenged authority without meaning to. Who struggled silently until it affected everyone around them. Who shocked the system simply by being themselves. As we count down, remember this. Hardest to control doesn't mean problematic. Often, it means visionary, unpredictable, or painfully honest. Each name on this list represents a different kind of struggle between freedom and structure, passion and discipline, individuality and teamwork. And as we move closer to number 1, the story becomes less comfortable, more explosive, and impossible to ignore. So stay with me. Listen closely, because by the end of this list, you might never look at BTS or leadership the same way again. Number 7, Taehyung, the beautiful wild card from the very beginning. Taehyung was never difficult in the loud, obvious way. He didn't rebel, didn't shout, didn't clash head-on with authority. That's exactly what made him hard to manage. Bang Si-hyuk once hinted that Taehyung was unpredictable not because he refused to listen, but because he listened too deeply to his emotions, to art, to moments others overlooked. Taehyung doesn't operate on schedules or logic alone. He moves on feeling, instinct, and a kind of old soul sensitivity that doesn't fit neatly into corporate planning. One day he's quiet, observant, almost invisible, absorbing the room like a sponge. The next day, he says something so honest, so emotionally raw, it shifts the entire atmosphere. For management, that kind of emotional spontaneity is terrifying. You can't script it, you can't control it, and you certainly can't predict when it will surface. Bang Si-hyuk reportedly struggled most with Taehyung during the early years because Taehyung didn't explain himself. He felt first, spoke later, if at all. When schedules were tight and expectations were rigid, Taehyung's internal world often clashed with the external demands placed on him. He wasn't being difficult on purpose. He simply refused to perform emotions he didn't feel. If he was sad, it showed. If he was inspired, he went all in, even if it meant breaking the mold. That honesty made him magnetic to fans, but nerve-wracking for executives who prefer predictability. Taehyung's growth into an artist, exploring jazz, classical aesthetics, acting, photography, was another layer of difficulty. Not because it was wrong, but because it was uncontrollable. Bang Si-hyuk wasn't managing a typical idol. He was managing a soul constantly evolving, asking questions without words, changing direction without warning. And yet, this same unpredictability became BTS's secret weapon. Taehyung reminded everyone that emotion can't be scheduled, art can't be boxed, and authenticity often looks like chaos before it becomes legend. That's why he lands at number 7. Not explosive, not confrontational, but quietly, beautifully hard to contain. Number 6, Jimin, the emotional mirror that never lies. Jimin wasn't hard to manage because he broke rules. He was hard to manage because he felt everything too deeply, too honestly, and often all at once. Bang Si-hyuk once implied that Jimin was the kind of artist who reflected the emotional state of the entire group. If the atmosphere was tense, Jimin absorbed it. If someone was struggling, he carried it as if it were his own. And from a management point of view, that level of empathy is a double-edged sword. You're not just guiding an idol's schedule or performance, you're navigating a heart that never turns off. In the early years, Jimin placed an unbearable amount of pressure on himself. He questioned his worth, his skills, his right to stand next to the others. Not because anyone told him to, but because he wanted to be perfect for the team. Bang Si-hyuk reportedly found this kind of self-imposed intensity harder to control than rebellion. You can discipline someone who resists, but how do you manage someone who pushes themselves beyond the breaking point out of love and loyalty? Jimin trained longer, practiced harder, and criticized himself more harshly than anyone else. From the outside, he was smiling, gentle, endlessly polite. Behind the scenes, he was exhausted, emotionally raw, and constantly afraid of letting the group down. For leadership, this creates a unique tension. If you push him, he'll give you everything and more, sometimes at the cost of his own well-being. If you pull back, he worries he's not doing enough. Bang Si-hyuk had to learn that managing Jimin wasn't about control at all. It was about protection. About reminding him that he didn't need to earn his place every single day. Jimin's artistry, his dance lines, his vulnerability on stage, his ability to make audiences feel seen, comes directly from this emotional openness. But that same openness meant his mental state could shift quickly, affecting rehearsals, recordings, and even group morale. He wasn't unpredictable in behavior, but in emotion. And emotions don't follow rules. That's why Jimin sits at number 6. Not because he was problematic, but because managing a heart that beats for everyone else is one of the hardest leadership challenges there is. Number 5. RM, the leader who challenged the system. RM wasn't difficult to manage in the traditional sense. He showed up on time, took responsibility, carried the weight of leadership without complaint. But Bang Si-hyuk has openly suggested that RM was hard to manage in a much deeper, more complicated way, because he thought too much, questioned too often, and refused to follow blindly. From the very beginning, RM wasn't just an idle trainee. He was an intellectual force. He asked why a concept mattered, why certain lyrics were chosen, why the system worked the way it did. For management, especially in the rigid structure of the K-pop industry, that kind of curiosity can feel disruptive. Not because it's wrong, but because it demands answers. Bang Si-hyuk wasn't managing a performer. He was managing a thinker who could see the cracks in the system before others even noticed them. RM's difficulty came from responsibility overload. As leader, he became the emotional translator between BTS and the company. He carried the members' worries, frustrations, and doubts, then brought them to Bang Si-hyuk with careful words and quiet conviction. That meant conflict often landed on his shoulders first. When the group felt uncertain, RM didn't shield himself, he stepped forward. And that made him hard to control because leaders with moral clarity don't bend easily. There were moments when RM's vision for BTS's music and message didn't align perfectly with commercial expectations. He pushed for authenticity, storytelling, vulnerability, even when it felt risky. Bang Si-hyuk has hinted that some of BTS's boldest moves came after long discussions, sometimes debates, led by RM. Managing RM meant engaging with his ideas, not shutting them down. And engagement takes time, patience, and humility. RM also carried the pressure of representing BTS globally. Every interview, every speech, every misstep felt amplified. He knew it. Bang Si-hyuk knew it. That constant awareness made RM cautious, reflective, sometimes heavy with responsibility. You can't micromanage someone who already micromanages himself for the sake of others. That's why RM lands at number 5. Not because he resisted authority, but because true leadership can't be controlled. It can only be trusted. Number 4. Jungkook, the uncontainable natural force. Jungkook was hard to manage for one simple reason that sounds harmless, but is actually terrifying for any system. He could do everything, and he wanted to do it his own way. From a very young age, Jungkook wasn't just talented, he was obsessively driven. Bang Si-hyuk has subtly alluded to this over the years. Jungkook didn't need motivation, he needed boundaries. And even those boundaries were constantly tested. When someone learns fast, improves faster, and sets their own standards higher than anyone else's, control becomes complicated. Jungkook wasn't satisfied with good enough. He watched others, copied what worked, discarded what didn't, and rebuilt himself constantly. Vocals, dance, performance, production, fitness. He absorbed everything like a sponge. For management, that kind of self-directed growth creates anxiety. You're not steering the ship anymore. You're trying to keep up with it. Bang Si-hyuk reportedly worried not about Jungkook failing, but about him burning himself out. Jungkook practiced until exhaustion felt normal. He repeated takes long after everyone else was done. If he made a mistake, he didn't move on. He stayed there mentally, replaying it over and over. You can't order someone like that to relax, because improvement is his comfort zone. Control doesn't work on obsession, disguised as passion. Another layer of difficulty was Jungkook's quiet independence. He wasn't confrontational, didn't argue loudly, didn't challenge authority with words. He simply did things. If he believed something would make him better, he pursued it, sometimes without asking. That autonomy can scare leadership, especially when the artist is young and globally influential. Bang Si-hyuk had to balance protecting Jungkook as the youngest member while not dimming his fire. Too much restriction, and Jungkook felt caged. Too much freedom, and he pushed himself dangerously far. On stage, Jungkook became a different entity, confident, fearless, commanding. Off stage, he was still figuring himself out. Managing that duality was exhausting. He wasn't hard to manage because he disobeyed. He was hard to manage because he outgrew expectations faster than systems could adapt. That's why Jungkook sits at number 4, a once-in-a-generation talent who couldn't be molded, only guided carefully before the force became unstoppable. Number 3, Jin, the silent rule breaker with a smile. Jin was never loud about resistance. He didn't slam doors, raise his voice, or openly challenge authority. And that's exactly why Bang Si-hyuk found him difficult to manage in a way few people noticed at first. Jin's strength wasn't confrontation, it was quiet autonomy. From the outside, he looked like the easiest member, polite, humorous, emotionally stable, always lightening the mood. But behind that worldwide handsome smile was a man who knew exactly who he was and refused to be reduced to a single role. Jin joined BTS later than most, and with less formal idol training, which meant he had to catch up fast. Instead of panicking, he made a decision early on. He would do things his way, on his timeline, without losing himself. For management, that calm self-assurance can feel slippery. You can't pressure someone who's already accepted their limits and chosen their priorities. Bang Si-hyuk has hinted that Jin's difficulty came from his emotional independence. Jin didn't tie his self-worth completely to success or praise. If something went wrong, he reflected, improved, and moved on without spiraling. That's healthy as a human being, but for an industry that thrives on urgency and constant pressure, it's unsettling. You can't motivate someone with fear if they're not afraid. Jin also challenged expectations through humor. When things got too tense, he joked. When pressure mounted, he laughed. That wasn't avoidance, it was control. He set emotional boundaries without ever announcing them. Bang Si-hyuk reportedly realized that Jin couldn't be managed through traditional intensity. Pushing him harder didn't produce better results. Respect did. Another layer of difficulty was Jin's refusal to be boxed as just the visual. He worked relentlessly on vocals, presence, and performance, even when people underestimated him. But he didn't complain about being underestimated. He proved them wrong quietly. For leadership, that meant constantly recalibrating how to support him without patronizing or limiting him. Jin followed rules, but only the ones that made sense. He respected authority, but not at the cost of dignity. That subtle line is incredibly hard to manage because it doesn't look like rebellion until you try to cross it. That's why Jin lands at number 3, a man who smiled, complied, joked, and quietly refused to be controlled. Number 2, Suga, the honest rebel who refused to be tamed. Suga was hard to manage not because he was reckless, but because he was brutally honest in an industry built on politeness. From the earliest days, Bang Si-hyuk has acknowledged, sometimes indirectly, sometimes with a knowing smile, that Suga didn't sugarcoat reality. If something didn't make sense, he said it. If a plan felt empty, he questioned it. And if an expectation clashed with his values, he didn't pretend otherwise. Managing someone like that isn't about rules or schedules. It's about facing truth head-on. Suga came into BTS with a fully formed identity as a producer and rapper. He wasn't searching for a voice, he already had one. That alone made him difficult to control. He didn't wait for validation, and he didn't chase approval. Bang Si-hyuk wasn't guiding a blank slate. He was negotiating with an artist who knew his worth and guarded his authenticity fiercely. Suga's difficulty also came from pain. His past struggles, physical injuries, financial hardship, and mental health battles shaped a worldview that was realistic, sometimes dark, but deeply sincere. When management pushed optimism or market-friendly narratives, Suga pushed back with honesty. He believed music should reflect truth, not comfort. That tension created friction, but also masterpieces. Some of BTS's most emotionally raw tracks exist because Suga refused to dilute the message. Bang Si-hyuk had to learn when to intervene and when to step aside. You can't control someone who creates from lived experience. You can only decide whether you're brave enough to let them speak. Suga also didn't hide when he was struggling. He didn't perform happiness for the sake of image. That transparency made executives nervous, but earned fans trust worldwide. From a management standpoint, unpredictability rooted in honesty is terrifying. You never know when truth will disrupt the plan. Yet Suga never acted out of ego. His rebellion was intellectual and emotional, not chaotic. He wanted BTS to mean something, to say something real. That conviction made him hard to manage, but impossible to replace. That's why Suga stands at number 2, a man who couldn't be controlled because he never pretended and never will. Number 1, Jhope, the explosive energy no one could fully control. Jhope being number 1 shocks a lot of people, and that's exactly why Bang Si-hyuk's revelation hits so hard. On the surface, Jhope looks like the easiest member to manage. He's disciplined, punctual, endlessly professional, and obsessed with perfection. He's the mood maker, the energy booster, the one who keeps everyone smiling when things get rough. But behind that bright smile is the most intense internal engine in BTS, and that's what made him the hardest to control. Bang Si-hyuk has subtly acknowledged over time that Jhope's difficulty didn't come from resistance. It came from pressure he put on himself and everyone around him. Jhope doesn't just want things done well. He wants them done right, clean, sharp, and meaningful. As BTS's performance leader, he watched every move, every angle, every beat. If something felt off, he couldn't ignore it. He stopped rehearsals. He corrected details others missed. He repeated sections until exhaustion. For management, that level of internal authority is explosive. You're not dealing with an idol following instructions. You're dealing with someone enforcing standards that sometimes exceed the company's own. Jhope's obsession with performance quality created tension because it raised the bar relentlessly. Bang Si-hyuk wasn't just managing schedules. He was managing a man who treated every stage like a final exam. There were moments when Jhope pushed the team so hard that even Bang Si-hyuk had to step in, not to scold, but to slow him down. Control becomes impossible when someone believes perfection is non-negotiable. Another layer of difficulty was Jhope's duality. Off stage, he's laughter and warmth. On stage and in practice rooms, he transforms into a precision machine. That switch confused people early on. They underestimated him. Bang Si-hyuk didn't. He saw that Jhope carried the emotional responsibility of holding BTS together during chaos. When energy dropped, Jhope lifted it. When confidence cracked, he filled the gaps. But that emotional labor came at a cost. He absorbed stress silently so others wouldn't have to. Managing someone who never complains but never rests is a nightmare for leadership. You don't know when they're about to break, because they won't show it. Jhope's explosiveness isn't anger or rebellion. It's relentless passion. He doesn't explode outward. He implodes inward, then releases it through performance that shakes stages worldwide. Bang Si-hyuk reportedly realized that Jhope couldn't be managed in the traditional sense. He had to be trusted, respected, and occasionally protected from himself. That's why Jhope stands at number 1. Not because he was out of control, but because his fire burned so intensely that no system, no rulebook, and no leader could ever fully contain it.